On to sexual assault. The boring preacher part begins now. Support leaves victim in Stanford sexual assault overwhelmed and speechless. You've heard about what happened at Stanford. It happened a couple of years ago. A fellow named Brock Turner, who was described in the first news report by the Washington Post as all-American athlete. Now, when black men commit crimes in America, it's always vagrant suspect, dodgy type, blah, blah, blah. Because he was a white guy going to Stanford, they didn't even release his mugshot until this week. The crime happened 18 months ago. They've been using a clean-cut picture of him going like this, and now they finally released his mugshot, and everyone's mugshot looks like this. Now, I'm here to demonize him, of course, but not to lay on him so much as to talk about the matter at hand, which is that, one, the good part of this is that women are coming forward now and actually expressing what's happened to them when they are sexually assaulted by men. The bad part, of course, is that the judge in this case, Judge Persky, gave him 6 months and said he didn't want to give him longer. Now, mind you, here's what happened. She was lying down drunk, and 2 people found him doing unspeakable things to her while she was lying down drunk and passed out. And what happened was they turned him in. She did not know that it had happened to her until she woke up in the hospital with a bandage on her that said rape victim. And so Mr. Turner's family hired a barrage of lawyers. They made her the victim. They interrogated her. They said a lot of things about her. They insinuated about her. Then, when Judge Persky ruled on the case, he gave him 6 months instead of the maximum is 14 years for that kind of thing, what we call sexual assault or rape, if you want to put it plain. And he received 6 months so that it wouldn't ruin his life. You get exactly what I mean here. I know this isn't funny at all in any way, and it's not meant to be funny at all. What it's meant to do is enlighten you to the fact that women are always responsible for their own victimhood, but men are not responsible for their own behavior. The whole question, were you drunk, what were you wearing, is completely irrelevant in any case of sexual assault, anytime, any place. Rape is not an act of sexual assault. Rape is an act of violent dominance by men over women, and that's all it is. It is a criminal, violent act. It's not something that women want. It's not something that women think about. It's not something that anyone who has their fucking head screwed on should fucking be dealing with at any point in their life. Now, I wanted to read you a couple of paragraphs here, and this is from her. Her name has not been released. I thought there's no way this is going... First of all, I'll read you the good part. The victim... said she was overwhelmed and speechless at the deluge of support for her. The internet has taken this cause up, and it's been a cause celeb in America and all over the interwebs and whatnot. Turner was expected to spend only 3 months in jail after the judge, Aaron Persky, said positive character references and lack of criminal record had persuaded him to be more lenient. Prison would have a, quote, severe impact on him. Now, what about the severe impact on her? Her life is a complete shattered mess at this juncture. She has to deal with this forever and ever. In future relationships, she's going to have a great deal of baggage to bring with her. And I don't say this lightly. I've stopped doing any kind of jokes that involve this years ago, and the reason is because I'm almost certain that everyone in this room knows exactly what I'm talking about when we talk about sexual abuse. And it's a comedy meme and a comedy trope constantly. It's always funny, and it's always funny for men comics to do it. Male comics have traded in it for years and years and years. It's winnowed down in this current atmosphere, but it needs to be extricated altogether. And here's why. Almost everyone in the crowd has had some experience with this, whether it's a relative, whether it's something that happened in your personal life, or whether it's something deeply personal to you that's traumatic. And therefore, it's not that fucking funny. And it's not really an area for people to make jokes about. And for the judge to be that glib about it and lenient, by the way, there's a movement afoot by other people on the Stanford campus to have him removed from his post for what he has did. Obviously, this is the act of an older, uninformed man. Now, speaking as an older, uninformed man... Exactly. I can assure you that it's not cool in any way. Michelle Landis-Dauber, a Stanford law professor, said she was launching the recall campaign. He has made women at Stanford and across California less safe. The judge bent over backwards in order to make an exception. And the message to women and students is you're on your own. And the message to potential perpetrators is, I've got your back. And this is what the victim said. I thought there's no way this is going to trial. There were witnesses. There was dirt on my body. He ran, but he was caught. Instead, I was told he hired a powerful attorney, expert witnesses, private investigators. He was going to go to any length to convince the world he'd simply been confused. I was pummeled with narrowed, pointed questions that dissected my personal life, love life, past life, family life, inane questions, accumulating trivial details to try and find an excuse for this guy who had me half naked before even bothering to ask for my name. Dauber also noted Pesky made no mention of a letter signed by 250 Stanford students. You get the idea. Women are victimized by men constantly and in every way. And to make it even more plain, the day-to-day microaggressions that women have to suffer when they're on the tube, when they're walking down the street. The weather is warm now in London. Women are wearing shorts. Women are wearing cutoffs. Women are wearing skirts. Men feel it is fully within their purview to go, nice ass, nice tits, you look good, you look pretty. By the way, I want to hip all my brothers to this and that. It is not cool for you in any way to tell women how you feel about them sexually. If you wish to compliment a woman, you can say, nice shoes. I like your outfit. You look great. That's fine. You look pretty. You look hot. You look sexy. Hey, all that shit is off fucking limits. And by the way, if it happened to you, you'd feel fucking victimized and horrible and confused and not know what to do. I'm not saying that every woman feels that way. Women are completely empowered and they deal with this every fucking day of their lives. I'm speaking to the men out there listening in podcast land and the men in this audience here tonight. It is incumbent upon all of us to fucking evolve. And I don't mean evolve over the next couple of years. I mean evolve immediately in your fucking attitude towards women. Yes, women are sexual objects. We're all sexual objects. As I've said on the show before, we all wish to be sex objects. That is solely on your terms and when you want it, not when you're walking down the street. If a woman's wearing a short skirt and she looks fucking hot, that's awesome. We're all appreciative of that. It's not incumbent upon you to make note of that or to let her know or to yell out or to be a fucking pervert, which is what you fucking end up being at the end of the day. It's uncool beyond measure. It's an extraordinary fucking breach of the social contract. And further than that, don't you have any feelings? Don't you have any empathy? You're a sentient human being, we thought. Why are you not aware of the fact that women want to be able to wear what they want when they fucking want without you fucking looking at their tits and making a comment about it? Is that cool in your lifetime ever? That you might be sensitive enough to understand that women aren't sexual objects for your pleasure every second of the day? Go ahead and look. Hey, whatever. You can keep it to yourself. You know what I mean? We're all in this world together, bustling into the tube, walking down the street, living our fucking lives. Women never come up to guys and go, hey, nice package. Those jeans are really tight. You're delivering that for fucking FedEx? No, they don't fucking do that because women aren't fucking assholes. Believe me, the latitude that men empower themselves with is unlimited, unfucking bridled. Men feel empowered to troll women on the internet, to call women the C-bomb, to call women bitches, to fucking call women every other thing. You're a lesbian if you don't want my sexual advances. You're a bitch if you don't want me to say you have a nice ass to you on the fucking street. If we're in a pub together and I come up to you and I hit on you and you fucking reject me, I'm fully within my rights to go, you fucking bitch. Well, why don't you fuck off, you fucking, right? Every woman in this room knows exactly what I'm fucking talking about. What I'm trying to get through to the brothers here is that you need some re-indoctrination. Being a gentleman and being a human, and let's go even further in Yiddish, being a mensch, a human being. Being a human being is first, foremost, and paramount in your life. But aren't women fucking living? Shut that shit the fuck down. The matriarchy ended 35,000 years ago, or whenever it ended, 15,000 years ago. There was a matriarchy on Earth. The first civilization was a matriarchy. Then, out of the matriarchy came men who finally took control, pushed women into the birthing, cooking, fucking gardening area, and went into the hunting war area. And then they decided, and that's what Greek myths are all about. You can read all about it It's in the history books. And ever since then, women have been scrabbling to fight anything. Speaking of which, on the back page of the article about the Stanford sexual assault is a picture here. Campaign for statue of Millicent Fawcett in Parliament Square. A scene from suffragette protest march in 1908. Campaigners include the actor Emma Watson are arguing for a statue of early women's rights activist Millicent Fawcett to be erected in Parliament Square. They're pointing out there are 11 statues of men in the square, but none of a woman. And there is Millicent Fawcett. She was what we would call a suffragette. And that means they wanted equal rights for women. By the way, 1908's not that far ago. Let me go even further on this one. My mother passed away 3 years ago. She was 94. She would be 97 were she alive. I did a show the night she passed away at this very theater. And my mother adored Hillary Clinton, and my mother worshipped Bill Clinton. And she would be voting for Hillary Clinton if she was alive today. My mother was born in 1919. That was 1 year before women got the vote in the United States. So we're not talking about ancient history. We're talking about someone I knew fairly well. She was, in fact, my mother. And she was born before women could vote. So that's the time period we're talking about here. So never mind the matriarchy and ancient Greece and all that. In the 20th century and in the 21st century, this is what we're dealing with right fucking here, right fucking now. The majority of men in parliament are men. The majority of men in Congress in the United States are men. The majority of leaders in the world are men. That is not equality. The majority of people in the world are women. Until women are equally represented, until women are equally respected, and until women's rights are fucking elevated to the level that men's rights are, we are in a deficit. And it has to be fucking dealt with. It has to be fucking countered. It has to be fucking absorbed. It has to be intellectualized. It has to be emotionalized. Women are not there for you to vent your fucking frustration on. Women are there to fucking lead you to a new tomorrow. Sturgeon storms into Forbes list of world's most powerful women. This is from The Guardian today. The Guardian often contains facts. There's a picture of Angela Merkel. Let's see here. Tsai Ing-wen. That's two pictures of Angela Merkel. Wow, that's cool. And Sheryl Sandberg, whatever. Nicola Sturgeon is the second highest ranked female in the UK behind the Queen in latest Forbes list of the world's most powerful women. The Scottish National Party leader at number 50 features for the first time among the influential UK figures in the 2016 tally of world leaders. Now, I was in Glasgow in March, and I do a joke in my act where I say, every country in the world has had a woman leader except the United States. And I say it's Brazil, Chile, Germany, Ireland, New Zealand, Australia, England. I go on. And after the show was over, I was signing books in the lobby, and Scottish women came up to me one after the next and went, "What about Nicola Sturgeon?" And I was fucking shamed. You know what I mean? We all have to evolve. Some of us evolve more slowly. Taiwan, Myanmar, or as I call it, Mini-Mart, Nepal, Croatia, Mauritius, and Lithuania have re-elected or elected female leaders over the past year. Taiwan's Tsai Ing-wen, the Nobel Prize winner Aung San Suu Kyi, and make the list for the first time. There was a couple of humiliating departures. Brazil suspended Dilma Rousseff, lost her place, as did Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner, the former Argentina president who's facing a fraud inquiry. As you know, Dilma Rousseff is in deep shit in Brazil right now. So, two women leaders are in trouble legally. Cristina Fernandez, Kirchner, and Dilma Rousseff. You know what? How many men have been Silvio Berlusconi? How many men have been George W. Bush? How many men have been Ronald fucking Reagan? How many, right? How many men have been Tony Blair? They fuck up. They cause wars. They cause untold trauma in the world. There's no fucking repercussions for this. So, two women are in a scandal. Hooray. Hooray. That is equality. When women are allowed the same latitude to be as corrupt and venal and fucked up as men, and I'm not kidding about this. When women are allowed the same latitude that men are, then that's equality. I mean, you know, there's no other way to fucking put it. And don't come at me with, well, Hillary Clinton's all right, but I don't like it. If it was another woman, I'd vote for it. Does a zillion millennia of oppression mean nothing to fucking you? Which brings me to this. And I was glad to see this article in The Guardian today. Oh, by the way, Kim Cattrall, that's what I'm talking about. Piers Morgan tweeted this week. Piers Morgan, as you know, is a... how do I put this? He's a person who has edited many newspapers. The word journalist is a bit strenuous, I feel. I'm not going to use a bunch of invective because I've decided to play a little higher than that. And besides, he's been called, Kittens McTavish. Every single name on the internet this week. Piers Morgan was given the job in America to replace a talk show host named Larry. Obviously, he's on, what is it called? Good Morning Britain or whatever the fuck. He's on some morning show here in England. And he, of course, is the editor of the Daily Mail online. And had been the editor of the Daily Express when all of the hacking went on, and had spoken to Jeremy Paxman. You know the whole deal with Piers Morgan. I'm explaining this for the people who don't know who Piers Morgan is. Piers Morgan is an opinionated person who is almost unsupportable in every way, in so much as his opinions are resolutely anti-humanity, anti-women, anti-poor people, and he really... Let me put it this way. His nose ends here, and that's how far he can see. In any case, he tweeted today in his male empowerment, or rather this week, Muhammad Ali, as you know, is swirling in the heavens. Muhammad Ali, exactly. And you're quite right to applaud. No athlete has been as substantial as Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was a statesman, as I said, and a philosopher, and many other things. He did, when he joined the Party of Islam in the United States, or as they call it, the radical black Muslims, when they called it in the early 60s, said a lot of things about white people, that white people had invented the rape of black women, that white people had invented slavery, that white people had invented homosexuality, a lot of things that we, in this era, would not look on with any kind of glad eye. However, he was an evolving individual and one that stood for everyone, as you know. Muhammad Ali went to the third world time and time again, to Ghana in the 60s, to Zaire in the 70s, to the Philippines, to lots of places where he was hailed as a leader. As I said on the last episode, he might have been the only athlete who could have been elected president of the world. And that's how important his message was, of empowerment, strength, and confidence. And that's how important he was as an individual to the world. I know there's a lot of young people here. And the problem, or the rub, is that he had Parkinson's for so long because of having been a professional prize fighter. He'd had his bell rung so many times that he hadn't been able to articulate the way he was able to articulate in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s. Now, this is what Piers Morgan tweeted about him a couple of days ago. Muhammad Ali said far more inflammatory racist things about white people than Donald Trump has ever about Muslims. #fact. That was last Sunday. Now, if you're confused about what white male privilege is, and I'm a white male with loads of privilege, if you're confused about it, if it's never been clear to you, if you haven't understood it, if it hasn't been within your grasp, if you've been one of these people who are like, I don't get it. Why are white men always vilified? Why are white men always shunted in this era? This sentence encapsulates white male privilege more than almost anything I've ever read in the last couple of years. Muhammad Ali was a shining light in the world that made people feel good about themselves. Piers Morgan is like the fish that live in caves in Kentucky that never see the light. Giant bulbous eyes, tiny, weird albino fins, and no comprehension of the world outside their cave. The fact that you would say this, and that you would even use the words Donald Trump and Muhammad Ali in the same sentence, speaks so hard to his male privilege that it is not even expressible as a human being. Donald Trump is a virulent, divisive, billionaire, self-interested, larcenous, duplicitous, person who holds no respect for you, me, or the position he's trying to win in his life. He is misogynistic, homophobic, racist, and a scourge on the American landscape. The fact that we've come to this juncture in America is heartbreaking to lots and lots of people. Donald Trump said a couple of days ago about Judge Serial, well, we'll move on here. What I wanted to get at was Donald Trump has openly said that all Muslims should be banned from entering the United States. And what was his reason? Well, until we can figure this out. Someone tweeted today, a woman, and I wish I had it in front of me here. I might do. No. Said, I'm not going to vote for another man until we figure this out. Donald Trump was at a rally 2 days ago, and there was a black person at his rally. And he went, oh, look at my African-American over here. Look at him. Are you the greatest? You know what I'm talking about. Okay. Look at my African-American, he said over there. I don't really know where to fucking begin on that one. And Piers Morgan felt that Ali had said more racist things than Trump had. And goes on, by the way, in a Daily Mail opinion, an op-ed page today that I read, to expatiate and expound on his opinion on Trump, and that Trump's not really a racist, that Trump's, doing this and that. But Ali, talk about missing the point almost entirely. But he always did. When he was on TV in America, I hated him. I'm going to repeat a joke that I've repeated before. The three worst things that came from Britain to America were syphilis, Simon Cowell, and Piers Morgan. I told you about that. Yamiche Alcindor is a New York Times reporter. She was in a press conference with Bernie Sanders 2 days ago, and she said to him, Hillary Clinton was declared the presumptive nominee, and she asked Bernie Sanders, are you being sexist by not dropping out? And he went, is that a serious question? Now, if it had been a woman, that's all I have to say. A woman is the presumptive nominee. Bernie Sanders is not dropping out of the race. Now, I'm not saying to anyone, oh, you shouldn't vote for who you want to. I'm not saying you shouldn't subscribe to the candidate with whom you identify. I'm just saying allow me the same leeway. I've been trolled plenty the last few days, not in any significant way compared to the women that I see trolled. Tamara Keith of NPR, which is National Public Radio, which is a bit like Radio 4, she's the White House correspondent, and Amy Chozick of the New York Times, who are covering Hillary, were both trolled so hard this week, today in fact, they're covering Hillary Clinton for their, NPR is a radio station, and the New York Times is a newspaper. They're covering Hillary Clinton for their publications, and they wrote articles about Hillary Clinton, that she's the presumptive nominee. Not that they loved Hillary Clinton, not that she should win, not that she should be the next president, simply the facts of what was going on. And they were both, Amy Chozick had death threats today, and she stopped answering her phone. People were phoning her personal phone today and telling her they were going to kill her. Tamara Keith was also threatened. Joan Walsh, who we had incidents to meet several weeks ago in New York, who writes for The Nation magazine in America, she had her apartment put online simply because she was writing about Hillary Clinton. So it's not just the Trump people. It's people on the left as well. Their disregard for women's rights. Let me put it this way. At the Bernie Sanders rally in Las Vegas, Barbara Boxer was up speaking. Barbara Boxer is a senator from California. She's in her late 60s, early 70s. A guy picked up a chair and threw it, or was waving it. I talked about it on the show. A cat wrote me a letter and said, hey, waving a chair is not, that bad. Picking up a chair and waving it at a 69-year-old woman is an act of violence. I don't know how else you describe it. Men don't understand what they possess in terms of violence towards women. Shouting at women, telling women what they should think, doing this. is a supposition and a presupposition and a presumption of your superiority over women. And not only that, your dominance over them. And not only that, your dominance in a violent way over women. Women have to be careful all the time. Women are told to carry keys in their hands. Women are told to walk in the light. Women are told to walk in pairs. They're not supposed to get drunk or wear short skirts because that'll tempt men. Men evidently bear no responsibility for their own behavior. And I'm bringing this up to the presidential and fucking world leader level here. The followers of Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump need to pull their shit together and fucking understand that it's okay to dislike a candidate. It's okay to hate a candidate. It's okay to not support them. But it's not okay to be violent and icky and horrible and dismissive toward women simply because you disagree with them. And that's your male prerogative. You haven't earned that fucking right on this world. You have a mother, and you should be a human being about your fucking life.